Hey guys, welcome to the show. Subscribe, rate, and review. Tell a friend. Uh, we got some good news. I'm getting some stand-up dates out of California. I'm starting to open up for TJ Miller. I believe I'm doing Sacramento, San Diego, Milwaukee, and Houston. Um, that's what TJ said I'll do. It's still not 100% confirmed, but it's 80% confirmed. So we'll see you hopefully at those cities. You could get the tickets at www.tjmillerdoesnothaveawebsite.com. And once they're confirmed, I'll post them on my website, www.keithreza.com. Other news, local gigs, April 14th, I'll be at the Rec Room with Pablo Francisco. You can get tickets at www.recroomhb.com. I'm also on Cameo. You can book me for a birthday shout out and all that jazz. And my special is now on YouTube. Google Keith Reza, make it happen, and share it. Tell all your friends, share it, and it'll really help a lot get the word out. All right, we have a great guest today. You've seen him on Comedy Central, Letterman, The Tonight Show with Jay Leno. And when I first started comedy, I really looked up to him. I thought he was one of the best of the best. He still is one of the best of the best, but he was a big influence in my comedy. And it's going to be fun to talk to him. Mitch Fatel, guys. So you guys are going to have fun. I will be a Lone Ranger. Alan Lee will not be here. And Victor Pacheco will not be here. So it'll be just me riffing with Mitch Fatel, guys. All right, enjoy the show. Remember, if you like it, subscribe, rate, review, tell a friend, share. That's where it's coming down to, is the more people that share, the more supporters we'll get. So, I really do appreciate all the support we could get. All right, guys. Thank you, and we'll talk to you soon.
You're listening to Reza Riffs with Keith Reza and Alan Lee, right here on LA Talk Radio.
Hey, buddy, can you hear me?
Yeah. Hey, Mitch. How are you, pal?
How are you, buddy? Let me just get your video on there.
All right.
Hey,
Hey.
man. Thanks for asking me. Let me find headphones, because headphones would be easier for me.
Cool.
Wait a sec. Hey, so can you have me off by like 12:35?
Sure. I'll set my alarm right now.
Perfect. Thank you, sir.
You got it. Set the alarm for 12:30, so it'll give us a 5-minute wrap up.
Yeah, you're a good man. Hold on one second. You hear me?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, it's not very loud though. Hold on. All right, give me another one.
Hey, Mitch.
Yep, perfect. Okay, and you hear me okay?
Yeah.
All right, let me just put this on Do Not Disturb so you can have my full attention. Get you into big screen because you're a good-looking fella I need to look at.
Oh, thank you. We have the same hairstyle right now.
Yeah, the roll out of bed and put water on it hairstyle. Yeah. How do I make this full screen? Hold on. I feel like a dad. How do I make this thing full screen? There we go.
All right.
All right, I'm all yours.
All right. So, Mitch, first of all, thank you so much for doing it. The power of Twitter, I always say.
Yeah, and you're the power of perseverance, my friend. You've been freaking following up for 6 months now. So I thought I'd finally have to do the podcast because you've been so. And then I was just, what did you do? You retweeted something about how good I am or something.
Yeah.
A lot of work every time. So.
Well, I'm sure you hear this a lot from comics, but when I first started comedy, you were one of my influences. So,
I hear that too much because it makes me realize I'm old. How old are you?
I just turned 35.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's a. I mean, yeah, I'm hearing it. What I hear more now is a lot of people going, I used to hear my parents listen to you, and that's weird to hear.
Yeah. Well, about I don't know 8 or 9 years ago, you're doing a weekend at the Brea Improv, and I wanted to go,
Yeah,
but I was because like they always say, don't meet your heroes. You know what I mean? So I
yeah.
was like so scared to go. So I was like, I don't because I was such new at comedy, and I didn't want to like embarrass myself. And now that I'm okay, I don't mind embarrassing myself.
So did you say hi to me or no?
No, I chickened out. I didn't end up going.
Oh, you should have gone, man. I'm always nice. Although I will say this, yeah. So I have a lot of heroes, but two of my top ones were Howard Stern and Steve Martin. And I met Howard and I worked for him. And that thing about don't meet your heroes was correct because I didn't like him.
Right.
I liked him as a. I think he changed radio, but when getting to know him, I was like, oh, he's kind of a he's not a great guy. Um, but uh, but Steve Martin, I never wanted to meet because I never wanted him to come off the pedestal. I never wanted to see him as anything but the guy. I'm a comedian because of Steve Martin, so I
Yeah.
never ever wanted to meet him. And in any way, after meeting Howard Stern and realizing that he wasn't what I thought he was, I didn't want to meet Steve Martin and find out that. So I've never met Steve Martin, and nor would I want to because he's just so pristine and perfect in my eyes.
Yeah. I almost had the opportunity to perform in front of Steve Martin because I toured with Norm Macdonald for 9 years.
Okay.
And the one, like, we did San Diego, and I had to leave early because I had my day job the next night,
Yeah.
so I couldn't spend the night. So I was like, yeah, I'm gonna have to miss the second show. And Norm's like, are you sure? There's a special guest. And I was like, yeah, I can't.
Ooh.
So I left, and the special guest was Steve Martin.
Wow. Yeah. That I would have left too. I guess that would have been pretty crazy. I did. I'd hate to perform in front of Steve Martin because if he didn't like me,
Right.
it would just destroy me. I performed in front of two of my inspirations. One, I didn't know he was in the audience, which was Jerry Seinfeld.
Oh, nice.
I came off and Jerry said, "Hey, good stuff," and I didn't know he was in the audience, and that just made my day. The other guy I performed in front of was Rodney Dangerfield, but I knew Rodney was there. Rodney had come back to say hi to me in the green room before I went on, and it freaked me out so bad, and I choked horribly on stage. I just could not perform normally, knowing that
Yeah.
I I have a new respect for people who don't let sometimes certain moments get to them because when I knew that Rodney was in the audience, I wanted so badly to do good that I overperformed. And as a stand-up comedian, when you overperform, you're always it's gonna be a disaster instead of just
100%.
kind
Yeah.
of being relaxed. And so that was my two guys that I performed in front of. Then one was a great story because I didn't know he was there, and one was a horrible story because I knew he was there.
I'm like the same way, like when I know the bookers are in the audience, I usually do terrible. I'm like, oh God. But when they're not, I usually do great. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and the only advice I can give to young comedians is like I started learning. So there was, everybody has their different systems that they kind of give you advice, and I believe that different systems work for different people, and so we have no right to say, well, that doesn't work. You learn as you get older to say, well, that doesn't work for me. I had a guy who was very into psychology, and he used to say, you need to visualize stuff. You need to visualize stuff. So before the Tonight Show, I'm sorry, before the Letterman Show came to one of my shows when I was a younger man, I sat in the green room and I kept doing visualization. I'm going to do so good, and I'm blah blah blah, and I'm going to do, and they're going to say you're the funniest thing in the world, and I freaking died. Like I
Yeah.
just died, and I realized like I'd gotten so in my head about this visualization. Then the next time I performed in front of the Tonight Show, I mean, in front of the Letterman people, I said my own system, which is I was like, hey, just go have fun. I said it to myself. I said, don't. It was almost like just be good to yourself. Just go out there and be good to yourself. If you get it, you get it. And then I do this other thing where I go, if I'm meant to go to do something, I'll do it. If I'm meant
Right.
to be on the Letterman show, I'll get there. So I almost was like, so my system is I just started going, I'm just going to be good to myself. I'm just going to stop beating myself up and saying, you have to do good or you have to do this. I'd be like, and I really did the parenting thing of going like, just do the best you can. Just do the
Yeah.
best you can. And I fucking rocked it. And I got the Letterman show after that. And so I started learning, my methods that work for me.
Which one did you like better, when you did the Letterman or when Howard Stern said, "Hey, come on as a comic"?
Oh, that's a great question. Holy shit. Wow. That's kind of equal. I mean, Howard was amazing to me when I came back as a comic. He said I was funny and he was proud of me. Howard was more of a father figure to me.
Yeah.
So him saying that I was funny meant a lot more than, oh God, these are tough. Letterman and Howard were both two of my biggest heroes growing up. So boy, no one's ever asked me that question. It's a great
Oh
question.
my God. I'm glad
Uh,
that's an original question, because I hate it
it's
when people ask the same questions.
yeah, it's a new one and I wasn't prepared for it. Because I don't know. I will say this. Maybe I'll have to go with Letterman because the Letterman show I had been watching as a kid and seeing comedians come on, and that was my barometer of if you had made it, if Letterman said your name. And when
Right.
Letterman introduced me, it was an incredible moment. Howard bringing me back as a comic was more validating because Howard had said I wasn't going to make it as a comic. So when I came back on and he said I was good, it felt good and validating, but it was a different kind of good. So going back in time, if I could say one of them was better, it would have to be the Letterman show, because that was also my moment that I realized I was as funny as I'd always thought I was.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally get that, because I think when people say you're not going to make it, it gives more fuel to the fire. You know what I mean? Like, I
Yeah,
really
except
wanted to do that.
yeah, I was just so freaking insecure. And when Howard said I wasn't going to make it, it really devastated me. So going back on and having him tell me he was proud of me and that I was funny was validating. I don't know if it necessarily made me work harder, because it just devastated me when he said I wasn't funny. I worked harder because my mom didn't think I was going to make it, and I wanted to prove it to her.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah. Hey, I don't mean to, like, I don't know if anyone's asked you this, but I noticed through your shirt you have a tattoo. Do you
Oh, that
have
one.
a, yeah, yeah. What was that for?
So it was just my little, I never wanted it. I always wanted one tattoo,
Yeah.
but I didn't know what I'd get. I wanted it to mean something. So when my wife and I got married, she did some research and she found out that sparrows are birds that fly very far from home, but they always come back to their nest and they're incredibly horny.
Oh my
She
God.
she actually researched this, and I was like, that's my tattoo. That's So she has a pink one,
Yeah.
because I used to travel a lot. I'd always come back to my home, loved my wife, and we would have an insane amount of sex. So to me it was the perfect spirit animal for me.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
have two tattoos on the same arm. So, like, I mean, like, when I notice people have tattoos, because it's on the wrist, it's a spot that men don't usually get tattoos, and like you can't really see it unless you're very observant. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So
So wait, so why don't men get them on their wrists? I didn't know that. I that's a new
it's more of a, I don't know. It's more of a, like, girls get tattoos there, but like
yeah.
men, I think it's hideable. You know what I mean? I'm not saying they don't. I'm saying it's more hideable. Like, you don't notice, because like you always notice a sleeve or something.
Right. Like men more get it here
Yeah.
stuff. Where are yours?
Mine is right here for my grandfather, and then
What
I
is
have
that?
it's a soda bottle.
Okay.
Uh, his name was Pop.
Oh, awesome. Okay.
And then, like, right here on the possess is a microphone, and that was for Norm, because he was like my comedy dad. I toured with him for 9 years, and it says
Right.
old chunk of coal. That's what we called him.
So he was kind of your Howard Stern, right? Like he was the guy that meant a lot to you, and then you were working with him, right?
Yeah, and I used
Yeah.
to help write him jokes and stuff, and I think he took a good keen to me because I have a form of autism called Asperger's syndrome.
Yeah,
So
my dad has that. My dad had Asperger's. My dad's dead, but yeah, he had Asperger's. I'm very familiar with Asperger's.
yeah, so I'm very socially awkward, and he was very smart. Like I think Norm had Asperger's too, so I think we clicked.
I think he definitely had a little Asperger's. I worked with him once, and he had a little bit. I mean, there's different, as you know. I don't have to tell you. There's so many different levels and spectrums of autism and of Asperger's. My dad, I didn't realize it had Asperger's. It wasn't diagnosed. But when my wife met my father, she was like, "Oh, he has Asperger's," and and she knew because her brother has it. And I was like, "You mean he's not just mean to me?" And she's like, "No, he doesn't," because my dad never socially was able to interact with me in any way at all.
Right,
And I just thought he didn't like me, but he had Asperger's. He didn't know. Like even when I told him we were having a baby, he was like, "Oh, good." Like he didn't even he wasn't even excited. It was just kind of like, oh yeah, he didn't hug me or kiss me. He never was affectionate with me, and I forgave him a lot once I learned, oh, it's Asperger's, which leads me to believe I may have a touch of the AB, whatever it's called, because I am socially very awkward, but I think I pull it off a little better than most people. I fake it pretty well.
yeah,
Like I will do anything to avoid a social situation. And once I'm in a social situation, I usually don't know, and you probably get this. I don't know how I'm supposed to act. Like when I see people in social situations and they just know how to act to be themselves, I'm like, what's it like to just kind of be comfortable? Like to me,
it's
I'm comfortable.
awkward. Yeah,
Yeah, it's always in my mind. Am I acting the right way? Is this it's just I'm never really at peace in social situations. So it's either that or I'm just, my self-esteem was so destroyed by my parents that I may have, I don't know, I don't know if I could put a name on it, but I may have a little bit of that because I know that I've never known what it's like to be comfortable in a social situation ever.
yeah. Well, if you want me to diagnose you, I will. You have
No,
Asperger's.
do I? Do I have it?
I don't know. I mean, I was just like saying, yeah, you got it.
I wonder if
But
I get benefits now. Do we get benefits? Is there someone
yeah.
you could put me in touch with for some benefits?
Well, the thing about Aspies is we're really good at, like, Dan Aykroyd has it, and if you notice, like, I feel a lot of comic geniuses have it because, like what you said, we're scared of social situations, but we'll always want to make people laugh. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I was telling my wife the other day that I remember when I was 15 years old getting invited to my first party at school. And I remember walking into the party. You probably have a story similar to this. And all the cool kids are there and all the hot girls are there and everybody's drinking. And I remember immediately going I don't know how to do this. I
Right.
remember very distinctly, Keith, going I don't know how to do this. Do I walk around and talk to people? Just shrinking from the situation and literally being clueless how you're supposed to be at a party, and then being clueless as to how people enjoy themselves at parties. I was how do you have fun? Because to me fun is mountain climbing, bike riding, watching my favorite shows on but being in a party situation, I was how is this like I literally didn't know how it was fun. I was
Yeah.
how is this fun? I don't get it. I always thought people were making it up. I was how do you have fun? And my wife still tries to get me to go to social situations, and it's just me waiting for it to end the entire time
Yeah.
so I
Yeah.
can be comfortable again.
But and so you said this happened when you were 15. That was around the same age you started doing stand up, right?
Exactly the same age because I knew how to be funny, and I was oh, that's what I know how to do. That makes me happy. And so I started doing stand up at 15 because I listened to Steve Martin, and I was I can do this, and I knew I was going to be a successful comic, but I had a while to go to learn what it meant to write an act and be unique and be myself and have a point of view and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I want to like skim through these questions because I want to respect your time.
No problem.
Uh,
And we could, if you want to do it again, we'll do it again if we have more stuff. So we don't have to rush. Just we could always do another one. So I'm fine with that. I like you now, and you told me I have Asperger's, so I owe you.
well, I love you, Mitch. Okay, then I'll just take my time, and then on part two, I'll take
Yeah,
off work.
yeah. We'll just do another one.
All right. So I wanted to ask you, is it easier for you being interviewed by comedians, or is it easier for you being interviewed by people like from the press who know nothing about comedy?
I like being interviewed by anyone. I love answering questions, and I love imparting any wisdom that I've learned and learning. I feel like interviews of all kinds, I almost feel selfishly that they help me learn more about myself.
Right.
I think that being a comic always has a certain narcissistic side to it that we just love talking and hearing ourselves and being the center of attention. So when anyone is asking me questions, I'm happy. I despise asking other people questions because when they start answering, I want to tell my stories. So like my wife always says,
That's
"You're
the hardest part
my
about
wife always
interviewing.
says, why do you think you're antisocial? People love you when I go to parties. You're always asking questions of them." And I go, it may sound like I'm being a good listener, but I'm just asking them questions so I could find stuff to make jokes about.
Right.
Like it's just me getting material. Because when I can, and I realized a while back, one of the most miserable experiences for me is going to a dance club or any kind of music venue where I can't talk to people, where people are just screaming. Because I keep wanting to make jokes, but I can't because it's so loud. And I feel like if I can't make jokes, I feel like my knees are cut off. Like I'm like, I don't know how to talk to people just going like, oh, the music's great. So I just love asking people questions and then I love getting material to then use for jokes. So I like getting asked questions by anyone, quite honestly. If people are interested in me, I love doing it. And I think I even like people who I don't like asking me questions because I can be honest with them about why I don't like certain things they like and stuff.
Yeah, I totally get that. I feel like with the whole music thing you were saying, I totally because like I have a hard time talking to the ladies, but if like I could always invite them to a show, like to see me
Yep.
do stand up, and then I feel once they go, I don't have a chance because then they find out because 90% of my act is talking about having autism. You know what I mean?
Yeah, girls are interesting. It's so funny. I've always had a problem talking to girls. I was always able to because I wanted to get laid so bad. I was able to make them laugh, but I remember distinctly a story that I tell people when I was about 19 or 20 years old. I used to work out at a gym, and there was a girl. I used to ride the bike. I used to ride the
The tricycle, the thing on the right
this yeah, the bike. I mean, I don't
yeah
know what the three-quarter
Peloton or
bike
whatever. Yeah,
Peloton, yeah, something like that. So I used to ride that, and then there was a track that went around, and this beautiful. She wasn't even gorgeous by anybody's regular standards, but you ever see a girl and you're like, she's not gorgeous by other people's standards, but there's something about her that you're like, I love that girl. There's just something about her. Well, there was this
like
girl that
Sarah
used,
Silverman.
well, I think she's beautiful. I
Yeah,
think
but when you see her, you think, "Oh my God, there's something about her."
she's
You
just
know?
gorgeous. Oh, and she's so unique. So, but I remember, so this girl used to run around, and I used to wish she was my girlfriend. And one day I said, I, maybe I should ask her to be my girlfriend. And I remember thinking that was the worst thought I've ever felt in my life, because I was like, the dread, the fear of going up to just a strange girl who hadn't seen me at a comedy club, who I didn't meet at school, making them laugh in class, who
Yeah.
wasn't just some girl that was at the gym. I was like, I'm going to ask that girl on a date. And I was like, I've never done that before. I said, I'm going to ask that girl on a date. I don't even know her. And because I kept seeing her every day. And then all of a sudden one day I was like, I can't do it. I can't go over and ask her for a date. I'm too scared. And then I had this moment where I was like, now you have to do it. You have to do it because one day you're going to be telling this story on a
On Razor
podcast
Riffs.
years from now, talking to some autistic kid. Like one day you're going to be telling the story and you're going to have an ending that you did it. You're going to have an ending that you actually overcame your fear. So I was like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. So I promised myself, and I said, this is the day I'm going to do it. And I got to the gym and she was running around and my heart dropped, like literally dropped, Keith. I was like, I can't do this. And all of a sudden I was like, if I don't do this, the story for the rest of my life is going to be that I couldn't do it. I'm going to regret it. And I was like, I can't live with that. So that fear overwhelmed the fear of talking to her. And I just walked over to her and I said, and it was so retarded the way I said it. Like, there's no way she would have gone out with me, because I just walked over and I was like, will you go on a date with me? Like, I just
Yeah.
like, it was just so stupid. And she was like, so sweet. She goes, oh my God, that's really nice of you to ask, but I have a boyfriend. And I said, okay. And then I just, for this story, wanted to make sure she knew I asked. So I said, I definitely asked you to go on a date though, right? And she's like, yeah. And I was like, okay. And I walked away and I got in the car and I cried. I was
Oh,
so happy that I had done it. I
uh,
cried that I was able to overcome that fear and ask this girl out, which is ironic because she probably cried because she's like, there's some fucking weird guy at the gym that's just following me around, asking me out on a date. But that's one of my, but that's how, and I tell people I've performed in front of 3,000 people and not been nervous. But talking to that one girl in that gym, that taught me what nervousness was. I had
yeah.
never been that nervous in my entire life.
Yeah. That's and then like, then when you get more and more famous, it gets easier. Now you're married.
Well, yeah, I mean, it still isn't easier. That's a great point. It's easier to talk to girls because I know that like they're not necessarily going to be looking at me as a sex object.
Right.
My wife and I have a different kind of marriage. If you ever look it up, it's more of I wouldn't say it's an open marriage, but we allow each other treats.
Right.
So I I am allowed to talk to women and I get just as nervous. Uh, but it's it's very rare I will talk to or be interested in any girl who hasn't been at my show first, because that's the only way I feel comfortable talking to women.
Yeah. So I want to ask this question this time because I think it's really
Yes, sir.
important. So you just released the Bad Girl is your new special,
Yes,
and
available on mitchfatel.com, ladies and gentlemen,
yeah,
for
and
rental or to buy it.
that's a special that you put your own money in and you produced it yourself, right?
Yeah, well, it was one of those things after Louis C.K. did it, who's a genius. I'm not in any way comparing myself to him, but I had done two specials. And the truth of the matter is like you do these specials and you have so little creative control and so little like, I just wanted to be involved in the editing for the first time, and I wanted to be involved in the set. I wanted to be involved in the material I was going to do. And I made it, and because I made it, no one will buy it, but I'm selling it, and everybody loves it. Did you see it by any chance?
I haven't, but I'd heard about it.
Well, thank you for your honesty. Go watch it and tell me what you think. I'd like to know your
Definitely.
opinion. There's someone that knows me in the older days. This is more of my newer material, so I'm always interested if people think I'm evolving the right way. I've heard great things about it, but I did it because I was like, something, Louis did it, and people are starting to do it themselves. And I was like, if there's one thing that comedians love, it's creative control. If there's one thing any performer loves, it's creative control. You realize that there is so little control over your own projects in Hollywood until you are so big, which I would never be. So I was like, I'm going to do it. And I put money into it and got a production house and all this stuff. And it's the best thing I've ever done. And now I hope people like it.
See, that's so cool that you think like that's the best special you've done. Because when I did the same thing with my special, and I'm so proud of it. Like I think it's so great, but I feel like if I did sell it to a network, I don't think it'd be that good.
Why do you think that?
Because I think like it's good because I did it myself. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there was something about being involved in my own special that I didn't have to like okay material with anybody or have stuff cut out. I've done a couple of specials with Comedy Central and all that stuff. And I was just like, ultimately, it just feels very much like you're not really a part of it. And in this day and age, you can do it. I'm making back my money, which is good. If I make money on it, that's great. This is going to sound really hack, but like it was more about just putting out something I could be proud of,
Yeah, I 100% like understand that and respect that. And then we have a few seconds before the buzzer comes out for a 5 minute wrap up. But this is the last question I wanted to ask you, and then
Okay.
uh, we'll tell the folks where to follow and support you. If you had, like, hypothetically, if you could do a sold out theater for like 5,000 people, and all these people weren't laughing but they were smiling, or would you rather do a bar show full of 50 people heckling you the entire time and none of your comebacks are working?
I hate hecklers so much that I would do the bigger venue. Because with the bigger venue, I could still do my character and my act and feel proud of myself that I did what I do. Hecklers to me are the same people that put graffiti on nice buildings. They're people that can't partake in the beautiful creativity of things, so they try to ruin things. They try to bring it down. I would rather someone just politely like smile at me and not even like me, rather than just try to ruin what I do or try to. I despise anybody that goes to anybody's art that they've worked on and try to ruin it.
Yeah.
So that's an easy one for me. I would definitely do the bigger venue.
And that's actually like a great answer, because they say that the best comedians aren't the ones that can make you laugh, but the ones that can make you smile.
Oh, great. I'm glad I answered that the right way. But yeah, that's a really great point you bring up, Keith, because one of the things is, as I got older as a comedian, I started learning that, like, in the earlier days, it's all about like how many big laughs can I get, and how many, and rather like, and then you start to go like, I want to say something. I want to have people listen to me. Like, I've watched TED Talks where they're fascinating. They're not necessarily the funniest things in the world, but they're fascinating. And one or two jokes come out and it's funny. And so, I've learned that, like, I've also learned that I'm less affected by how the audience reacts, as long as I know I've done a good job with something.
Yeah. Well, Mitch, where can the folks at home follow and support you at?
Well, as you know, my Twitter is kind of doing great because I decided to start being really
Funniest guy on Twitter, by the way, you are.
I'm trying very hard to like get people pissed off, because what I learned, I I really want to thank Elon Musk, because when Elon took over Twitter, and I realized that, like, oh my God, I can make jokes again without being banned. Like, I was starting to go like, I just despise not being able to make jokes about things. And with a comedian, when you say you can't make a joke about a trans person, you can't make a joke about this, you can't make a joke about this, the more you tell us you can't do something, the more we want to, because comedy is based in being irreverent and being annoying and irascible and pissing people off. And 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 this new Twitter generation was like kicking us off because we'd make jokes. And I was like, so once Elon Musk came on, I was like, you know something? As long as he's going to run it, I'm going to go on there and just piss everybody off. Right wingers, left wingers, everybody, and just enjoy that, because that's what comedy's supposed to be.
Right.
So I would ask people to please follow me on Twitter. It's at Mitch Fatel, MITCHFATEL. All those other things I do have. The Instagram is The Real Fatel, and Facebook. But I've been really focusing most of my time on like Twitter. I'm enjoying the writing and the dialogue and seeing people. And that's how me and you hooked up. I love Twitter, and this is the golden age of Twitter, because we have so many people getting so offended so easily and getting so angry and yelling at you so mad that it's like it's become silly and fun again. Like, people don't realize that, like, the more they yell at me, and any comedian, the more they get yelled at or told how much they suck or how much. That's our lifeblood. We love that stuff. If you really want to piss us off, here's a little hint. If you really want to hurt a comedian's feelings on Twitter, unfollow him or block him. Because when we do that, we feel powerless. We're like, I can't fucking fight with you anymore. Like, you just, it's literally like the girl just turning around in school and not talking to you. That hurts. So if you want to hurt me, just fucking block me. But don't think putting me down or telling me I suck or any of that stuff in any way isn't hilarious to me. And it's hilarious that the people on Twitter I'm learning regress back to the 3rd grade and start saying like, well, you're ugly. Like they just have nothing to say when they don't agree with you. And I think that that's kind of hilarious. I'm enjoying it.
Well, Mitch, thank you so much for talking with me today and making me smile. It really means a lot to me. And next time you're in California, I swear I'll man up and go.
Yeah, you come to the show and we'll just both avoid eye contact because we both have Asperger's. We'll just sit there looking the other way the entire time, and then we'll go to a music club and not talk.
Well, thank you so much, Mitch, and have a wonderful day.
Pleasure, man. Thank you for persevering and coming after me to do this with you.
All right, buddy. I hope to have you again soon. Have a great day.
Whenever you want, just let me know.
All right. Bye, Mitch. All right, guys. And that was my interview with Mitch Fatel. Guys, subscribe, rate, review, and tell a friend, and we'll see you guys next week.
You're listening to Reza Riffs with Keith Reza and Alan Lee, right here on LA Talk Radio.